Hello, this is Jackie with Panama Relocation Tours, and thank you so much for joining us for our Saturday live stream. Today I'll be interviewing Karen and Mike, who are both Canadians that moved to Panama. We have a really big storm going on right now. I don't know if you can hear the thunder and lightning in the background. I hope I don't lose power. But if I do, I'll get back on as fast as I possibly can. Sometimes it's only out for a minute and then I'll be right back on. So we'll just see how it goes. And I see that Debbie Klappa, who's our moderator, she lost her power for a little while. She's also in Boquete, but she's back on now. So bear with us while we have, this is the rainy season, and sometimes we get these little storms like this. So for the benefit of all of you that are new to our channel, we do these live streams every single Saturday. Sometimes we interview somebody, sometimes we have a guest speaker, like last week. We interviewed the owner of Hospital Santa Fe about their insurance. And sometimes I just have a topic that I talk about that we get a lot of questions about, so I cover. But today I'll be interviewing some Canadians that have moved to Panama. People say all the time, it seems like all the people you talk to are for U.S. citizens. What about us Canadians? So this Saturday and next Saturday, I'll be interviewing Canadians that have moved to Panama. My name's Jackie Lang, the owner of Panama Relocation Tours, and since 2010, we've been helping people move to Panama the right way. We do that three different ways. One is we have an all-inclusive 6-day, 7-night Panama relocation tour, which takes you all the way across the country. You see a lot of different places to live. You see rentals. You meet immigration attorneys, real estate agents. You meet expats that live in all the different places. And the whole time the bus is moving, we're teaching you important things you need to know about health insurance options, about buying a car, finding a rental, just all the things that you need to know to have a smooth move to Panama. Another thing we do are just private tours. If you know you want to live at the beach or you know you want to live in the mountains, then perhaps you don't need an all-inclusive tour. You just need to focus on the area you want to move to. So we have that, and we also have something called our online Panama Relocation Guide, which is kind of like a home study course. You study at your own pace, and it still teaches you the things you need to know for a smooth move. So for more information about any of those things, you can go to our website at PanamaRelocationTours.com and check it out. While you're there, be sure and subscribe to our free newsletter. It starts out with 15 lessons of important things you need to know about moving to living in Panama. It doesn't cost anything to get that. And you'll also get updates about our weekly live stream. About 5 minutes before this live stream started, my ring light that I have right in front of me, it quit working, but so far the lighting's still good, so we're going to hang into it. So if you could please hold off on your questions until after I finish interviewing Karen and Mike. I'll let you know when you can ask a question, but not yet. And then sometimes we even do a live stream that's only to answer your questions, one after another. But today we're going to be focusing on Canadians moving to Panama. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on our guest. Here we go. There's Karen and Mike. Thank
Hello.
You so much for being here.
Oh, and our pleasure.
So Karen, tell everybody, where did you move from in Canada and where did you move to?
So Mike and I are both from Southern Ontario. I spent most of my career in Sarnia, and Mike's from Woodstock. We went to the U.S. for a bit in between Canada and here, so we actually moved here from Albuquerque. So yeah, we've got a little bit of cross-border experience there, but Mike retired out of the military with a pension from Veterans Affairs, and I worked as a chemical engineer, as I say, mostly around Sarnia.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so when did you move to Panama? What year did you move to Panama?
We're pretty new here. We just moved here at the beginning of the year, so it's maybe 7 months now.
Yeah, aren't you loving it?
We are, yeah.
We are, yeah.
Even when it's pouring down rain and lightning and thunder, it's still better than snow.
Exactly, you don't have to shovel it.
It's all part of living in Boquete.
It just soaks right into the ground. So
Yeah.
tell everybody, where did you move to? And out of all the places to move to in Panama, why did you decide on that area?
So we're in Boquete, the Boquete area. We came down here probably 3 or 4 times, and traveled to different areas within Panama. Got a bit of a feel for the different areas, and then after we landed here, and got ourselves set up in a rental, and that we went around to a couple other areas, to Coronado and Panama City, and I don't know how to pronounce it, Puerto
Puerto
Armuelles.
Amuez. Yeah.
Thank
That's the
you.
one. Yep.
Mhm.
I still struggle with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it took me a while to get that one down too.
Yeah.
Us.
Yes.
Okay.
Got to pronounce every syllable.
Yeah.
Well, we made good strides, because when we first got here, we thought Jaramillo was Jeremiah or something like that. So we're making improvements in our language skills.
Hmm.
And then we tried,
Valde Anton.
yeah, Valle de Anton as well. Check that out too. We spent some time, as I say, down, around the coast and all that, but it was just too hot for us. Way
Yeah.
too hot. So we knew that we wanted the,
It's interesting because so many Canadians, they want to be at the beach. They want to be where the weather's warmer. But like you said, it's pretty hot and humid there.
yeah, and it's only, I don't know, a 45-minute or an hour drive, and you're there. So
Yeah. The amazing thing about Panama, there's something for everybody. If you want to be in a big metropolitan city, you can be in Panama City or even David. If you want to live at the beach in a $1,500 a month condo, you can do that. If you want to be at the beach on a $600 a month house, you can do that.
Yep.
If you want to live up in the highlands where you don't need an air conditioner, you can do that.
Exactly.
Or live on an island even. There's something for everybody. And it's just a little bitty country, but it has so much diversity. It's just amazing.
It really is. Yeah, it really is. But yeah, like I said, we tried out a few different places like that, just to get to know it a little bit. But our main thing, or at least mine, maybe I shouldn't speak for you.
No, yeah.
My biggest concern in where we were going to retire was to be able to build a base of friends and a community. And we found Boquete had the best opportunity for that. Within a week of landing, we had friends, and I went through my whole career not having friends. So this was quite the change.
Yeah, the amazing thing, if you go to an area where there's a high concentration of expats, like Boquete, like Coronado, they both have, like, nobody knows for sure, but guesstimates of 4,000 expats in each one of those towns. It might be less, it might be more, I don't know. But if you go there, you're going to run into people that speak your language. You don't have to, get out your Google Translate all the time. There's going to be people you can say, well, where do you get your hair done? Or what's your favorite restaurant? Or which doctor do you prefer? So
Yes.
it's comforting to have all those kind of things available.
There's a lot of Canadians here too.
There are a lot of Canadians. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there might be more than there is other nationalities here.
There's a lot of U.S. citizens. I think U.S. citizens #1, Canadian #2, and then people from Europe and other countries would be #3. There's actually a lot more Canadians around Playa Blanca and San Carlos than there is in Boquete. So if you want to go hang out with some Canadians, you can just go down there for the weekend. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, there was a Canada Day festivities here, on July the 1st as well. So you're not hurting for Canadian, culture, if you will.
Right. So whenever Big Thunder, you moved to Panama, did you have a hard time finding a rental, or tell us about your experience in looking for a rental?
Yeah, we had. I guess it wasn't like there was a plenitude of it when we first came. I guess there was. It was the end of the high season, so it was a little bit tougher. But I mean, even with that, we still managed to find a nice place. It's a house. It's 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath. It's brand new. We were the first tenants in it. The yard is large and beautiful. It's perfect for our dogs. Fully fenced.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you moved with some pets. So
Yeah.
I'm sure you love that yard. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
she's quaking at my feet right now because of the storm.
yeah. Well, with the thunder, my cat, I have a 2-story house, and the upstairs is just a huge living room, which could be another bedroom. But I call that the man cave. When it thunders, my cat runs up there and hides underneath the sofa. He's such a baby. But he likes living here too, and I'm sure your pets like it also.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, like I said, we came here from Albuquerque directly, and that, of course, is desert. And she was forever stabbing herself on the cacti. So
Yeah, I'm sure she likes the weather too.
she
Yeah,
does.
yeah. So one of the big questions that comes up all the time with Canadians is, well, what about the exchange rate? Did it concern you to move to a country that uses the U.S. dollar and that you'd have to deal with an exchange rate for your Canadian, or did the lower price of living here in Panama completely offset that?
It certainly, yeah, it offsets it. I think it is a concern. The majority of our savings are in our RSPs. So yeah, I mean, you watch the value when you equate it to US, and it just, especially the last little bit, it's been terrible. We do have an American account though as well that we'd set up, and so we kind of watch the exchange rate, and our financial guy helps us with that, and helps us transfer funds over when the exchange rate is better. It hasn't been good in a lot of years, but it's better.
Yeah. So whenever people ask me all the time, do Canadians move to Panama? And I say, yeah, they move to Panama. So, somebody said, it's kind of a weird title for your live stream. Yes, Canadians move to Panama too, but we get that question all the time. So, I wanted to let people know that yes, Canadians move here, people from Germany and France and Australia, Abu Dhabi,
South Africa, there's quite a
India.
number of South Africans.
Yeah, we have people from all different countries that move to Panama. If you have a pension, then it really doesn't matter which country you're from. You can move here. The only time that there's country restrictions is if it's the friendly nation visa. Then there's only about 50 different countries that people can move from for the friendly nation visa. Other ones, like someone asked me yesterday, they're from Trinidad, and they wanted to move here, but they don't have a pension. I said, well, you can't. There's not a visa option for you from Trinidad until you have a pension. You're not going to be able to move here. So, but North Americans, no problem at all moving to Panama.
Yep. No, we managed to come with Mike's pension is what we used to qualify ourselves with, and that was just
It's
a
very
hot knife
easy.
through butter. It was so easy.
Yeah. Yeah, people ask me, the other thing I'm asked all the time, well, what are the rules for Canadians to get a visa? And I said, well, the rules are exactly the same for Canadians as they are for anybody else. You have to show $1,000 a month in US dollars or the equivalent to get a visa. And if you're married, then $1,250 in US dollars or the equivalent. So the way that equivalent is figured out is your immigration attorney, just before you're ready to go apply for a visa, they will contact the Banco Nacional, and they'll get a conversion letter that'll show this is what you make in Canadian dollars and this is what it is in US dollars, and then they turn that in for you to qualify for a visa. That's the only difference in a Canadian applying for a visa versus someone from the United States.
And it's RCMP instead of FBI background check.
Yeah, it's RCMP instead of an FBI, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. But everybody needs a national criminal report. It's called different things in different countries. For the pensionado visa, everybody needs to show that they have a pension that they're already receiving to qualify for the pensionado visa. And then if you're married, you need a certified copy of your marriage certificate to qualify
and a long
for
form birth certificate. That was the one thing we had to apply for and wait to come in, was a long form birth certificate.
And in Canada, they did change the rules in January. They changed the rules that now those documents need to be notarized, and then you get them apostilled in your province. Where it used to be, you could get the documents authenticated at the Panama consulate. but I think it was January the 11th they changed the rules, and now it has to be apostille. The whole process is really easier with the apostille, I've been
We had
told.
oh, we had a little flickers. I think we're okay. When we actually had an FBI background check because we lived in the U.S. long enough, so we didn't have to worry about our CMP. But either way, there goes.
A big one.
We could lose the power anytime. So.
Yeah.
But no, we were able to get the FBI background check, which was easy. And even though being Canadians and having some U.S. documentation, coming to Panama, we were able to still get our driver's license from the U.S. Embassy
Right.
versus the Canadian Embassy, but not or consulate. So it was we had to jump through some hoops, but it was definitely not that difficult.
Yeah.
Right. And yes, you know, one of the things that everybody should know, whenever you're going to move to Panama, one of the things you'll do is contract an immigration attorney. And we have recommendations for immigration attorneys in our relocation committee. Big thunder out there. But
Yeah.
but your immigration attorney, they're going to give you a list of what documents you need, and they're going to say, you know, if you're from Canada, you need these documents, and this is what you have to do. If you're from Germany, you need this documents, and this is what you have to do. So your attorney is going to hold your hand and walk you through that whole process. And we also have that information in the guide also for people. But the most important thing is don't come to Panama and just say, well, I'm here. I want to get a visa. What do I need to do? No. You have to do some advanced planning and contact that immigration attorney in advance. And then they're going to tell you some documents you have to gather up in your country, Canada or France or wherever it might be, that you have to gather those documents. And then they're going to have to either be apostille or authenticated by the Panama consulate. That all has to be done before you get here. It's possible to do it from here, but it costs a fortune to do it and takes 3 times longer. So it's better to just get everything done in advance.
Yeah. And we used Javier out of the guide, he was just fantastic.
Yeah. Javier is great. Javier is wonderful. And and a lot of people, they get their visa in Panama City, and some people get their visa in David. You can even get your visa in some other places. But usually wherever you're going to be moving to, it's just more convenient to go there, get moved in, get settled, and then work on getting your visa instead of paying for, a week of hotel rooms and eating out. You can already just get your visa after you move here. There's no requirement to have that residency visa started before you move here. You just need to make sure you come with all of the documents. Sorry, I'm a little distracted with all this thunder that we're having. You're hearing.
I'm turning my ear to make sure that I hear you properly over the noise.
Yeah, I'm in Alto Boquete. I think you're in Alto Boquete. Debbie Klappa, our moderator, she's in Alto Boquete. So we're having this amazing little storm that's going on in the background while we're doing these things.
It's perfect timing too. As
Yeah.
soon as we started, the storm hit.
Yeah, it's been clear all day.
Yeah, it was clear all day, but we'll get through it. Hopefully we'll get through it without losing power. So another question that people have often, regardless of which country people are from, is what's been your experience, if you've had any, with the healthcare system here in Panama? With seeing a doctor or even having to go to the hospital or get lab work?
Yeah, Mike's actually had more experience with that than I have so far. We've had some experience going to the pharmacy and all that. We don't need to go to a doctor to get the prescriptions, which is fantastic. But really, our experience has been more around the Veterans Affairs support that's available here, which is fantastic.
It is.
It's so much better than anything that Mike had access to in Canada or in the Albuquerque area. What don't you?
So, being a veteran, you got to go through the services they provide and whatnot. We have a bit more freedom in Canada because living out of the country, they have certain offices that'll facilitate all that. But it is always difficult finding people that will support veterans, whether it's for mental health or physical health. You have to pay up front. Sometimes you don't. It can get very convoluted doing that way. I found an organization here.
Another big one.
Yeah, it's a big one. And they're very helpful. I think I'm the second Canadian they've worked with. They work with mostly Americans, but they do have access to Canada's Veterans Affairs also. So a lot of the stuff is paid by Canada does pay for it, but they do the paperwork for me. I don't have to pay up front. So it's very fortunate that way. They have everything I said, from all the medical health, all those things. I'm not sure if they do dental, but I don't think they do. but they have everything available as long as you qualify for Veterans Affairs benefits. If you qualify for it, they will provide all the services that you're entitled to.
And the people that you've worked with, the professional people, that their English has been fantastic, their professionalism has been fantastic. Like you couldn't ask for better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard that from veterans from Canada and from the United States, that the care that they get here is faster and better than what they got from veteran services in the country that they were from. There's not some big long wait to see a doctor, that it's just taken care of. So for those that are interested in more information about veteran services that are here in Panama, if you go to PanamaRelocationTours.com, and if you put veterans in the upper right hand corner, then there's some information about services that are available to veterans, and that's for U.S. veterans and Canadian veterans also. So it's very helpful.
It's been great.
Yeah, no complaints at all. The services provided, the people I've met. They even have a veterans pickleball tournament organization.
I know, they have pickleball now.
Pickleball's king here, I guess.
It is.
We're into it too now. So
Yeah, they have a PTSD, I think that's what it's called, group, and they have a pickleball, and just things to create that camaraderie that veterans are used to from being in the military. So that's wonderful.
It's nice. They speak the same language as all veterans speak, regardless of what country you're from. We all speak the same language. You have very similar experiences, and they welcome you. There's none of this. Oh, we don't handle Canadians. We handle veterans. So regardless of what country you're from, they're more than willing to accommodate you or even look at solutions for you to assist you.
Yeah.
Veterans is a brotherhood and a sisterhood, regardless of which country you're from.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. So what about, you have a couple of dogs that you brought with you. What about veterinary services? Have you had any experience with that?
Well, we've gotten to know some of the vets. We volunteer at Amigos de Animales. So, we've gotten to know some of the vets there, and we're actually going to take our dog in for a small operation at the end of this month. But, so you hear about other experiences, and I haven't heard of anybody not be able to get good care for their dog yet. So we're pretty comfortable, I guess, with the level of services that are available here. They do house calls. They'll answer your text at any time of day or night, holidays. You can't really complain about any of that.
Yeah.
And the price.
Yeah, the price is.
If Buster, my cat, he just hates getting in the car and going to the vet. So I'm so appreciative that I can just send a WhatsApp to vet, and he'll usually be at my house within an hour. And for $25, he takes care of everything. So it's just amazing to have that available. And a lot of times, if Buster needs a medication, he'll have it and he'll just give it to you. Otherwise, he'll write down what you need, and you can just go to the pet store and get what you need.
Yes. Yeah. And that pet store by Gacko or whatever it's called across Malto Dorado, that it has everything.
They get everything.
Yeah, they really do. So we're not wanting for anything for her.
Yeah, that's good. One of the things that I noticed here in Panama, I was thinking I'm writing a new article about cost of living and how you can get away from high prices in Canada, where prices are so high, or the U.S. where prices are so high, but how it's so much more affordable. And I was in the article I'm working on, many of the things that I pay for here in Panama, it's cheaper now than what I was paying 15 years ago in the United States. So it's just so much more affordable. The only exception maybe is pet food. Pet food is a little bit more expensive than what I was paying for. Have you found that? I don't have a dog, so I haven't priced that. Is pet food more expensive?
We found it to be actually pretty comparable. And we were actually just back in Canada. Just the other day, we just got back from Canada, and the prices, they were about the same as what we pay here. So, treats are cheaper though. The dog treats.
The treats are pet treats are cheaper, and pet toys are 50% less. Some things are a lot cheaper, but most things are just quite a bit more affordable here in Panama. I hear from Canadians, and they send me pictures like from a grocery store of 16 Canadian dollars for watermelon, and I'm
Yeah, it's true.
We saw that.
It's
We
true.
saw that exact same post that we checked when we were there, and it was honestly that high.
it's crazy. You know, I just bought one for $3 here in Panama. So,
From a guy on the side of the street at the back of his car, right?
Yeah.
So,
but you know, and it's not just watermelon; it's so many things. People saying like, you know, this. Look at this. Look what I got for $120. It's like one little bitty bag of groceries that you get for $120 in Canada. And, you know, that would be maybe $20 here in Panama. So those people that are worried about the exchange rate, you have to really take into consideration that the cost of living is so much more affordable here on the majority of things. You know, whenever you're talking about groceries, rent is going to be cheaper. Your cell phone's going to be cheaper, internet's going to be cheaper. A lot of those things are going to be more affordable here in Panama. There's going to be a few things that might cost more, but for the most part, everything's going to be so much cheaper that it's going to completely offset any exchange rate. Are you still there? Because you're being really still. I think I lost the connection with Karen and Mike, but I'm sure they'll be back on in just a little bit. So in a little bit, yeah. So Monique is saying that vet bills are really expensive there, and vet bill here is like $25 whenever the vet comes to your house, and it could be even $15. Yeah. So now we've lost Karen and Mike because of this wonderful storm that we're having, but I'm sure they're working on getting back on as fast as they can. They even have a generator. I don't have a generator. So they should be able to get back on pretty soon. So when they get back on, I'll ask some more questions, and then I'll also open it up for your questions. Not yet. Don't start getting your questions up yet because I'm waiting for Karen and Mike to come back on the line. Meanwhile, I'm going to share some information about here in Panama. So some of the things that in Panama that a lot of people don't know is that we do have two seasons. We have the dry season, which starts in about the middle of December and lasts until about the middle of April. And then in April, we start the rainy season, and it lasts until about the middle of December. But with the rainy season, people always want to know, well, does it rain every single day, or does it rain all day long? And I can tell you, yesterday we didn't get any rain at all yesterday, but today, of course, it starts right at 5 o'clock. We started getting some rain here in Panama, and it came with some lightning and thunder. But since then, just now, the rain stopped. So it only rained for 28 minutes, and that's not too bad. It might rain a little bit more, but the thunder subsided, the lightning subsided, and the rain has stopped. So it only rained for 28 minutes. Now, a couple of days ago, we had rain, and it started raining at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was still raining at 8 o'clock. So it rained for 6 hours straight one day. So there's no right answer. You never know which day you're going to get. Almost always you start out with blue skies and sunshine, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful day. And I love living in Boquete because I can have all my windows and doors open and get fresh air all of the time, which is something that you just couldn't have. In Texas, it was way too hot. But here, you start out with blue skies and sunshine. And if you do get any rain during the rainy season, it's usually going to start raining after 2 or 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon until you get to maybe October and November. Then you're more likely to have rain that might rain for 20 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour every day in the late evening, but it's not going to ruin your day. So you don't have to worry so much about the rainy season. The amazing thing about the rain here is it keeps everything lush and green and beautiful. Fills up those lakes so that we have plenty of water for the ships to go through the Panama Canal. So we love the rain. I prefer the rainy season to the dry season. In the dry season, we don't have any rain or hardly no rain at all. And we also it gets more windy in the dry season, and that completely goes away during the rainy season. So it looks like that Karen and Mike haven't been able to get back on yet. So what I'm going to do is open it up for your questions until they can get back on. So if you have a question for me, and I won't be able to ask things specific for Canada possibly, but any questions that you have for me, you can type it into the chat window. Just please put 3 question marks in front of it so that I can recognize it as a question. So Monique wanted to know if I have a metal roof. So at the house that I'm living in now, at the other house I had, that I lived in for 12 years, I didn't had a cement fiber roof, so I didn't hear the rain at all. The house I'm living in now, I do have a metal roof, but it has insulation between the roof and where my house is. So whenever it rains, I'll hear it a little bit, but I don't hear it at all like you would if you only had a metal roof. Looks like they're back. There you are.
Hi.
Whoops.
There we
Let
go.
me get
There we
rid of
Yeah,
that
we had the
comment.
blip here too. And back on.
Yeah. Okay, so you're back. That's good. So, and that's, did you lose power? Did you lose power? Or
No,
just use
no.
We
It was
had
just
the
enough of a blip that
flicker.
we,
It flickered enough that the
Kicked
internet
Yeah,
flicked off
yeah.
constantly.
And that's going to happen sometimes. Like the other day, remember, I think it was 2 or 3 days ago, we had that rain that started about 2 and it was still raining at 8 o'clock at night. And we didn't have so much thunder or lightning or anything. We just had so much rain. And I lost power. Just when you're watching that Netflix movie, the last 10 minutes, whenever it's the cliffhanger, that's whenever the power goes out. And so I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, darn. But if you just wait a couple of minutes, it's, maybe 5 minutes, it's going to come back on, and then you can hit resume on Netflix.
Yeah.
So that's the nice thing about it. So people
that was
worry
our
about.
exact experience the other night. We were watching Star Trek.
Yeah.
It kicked
Yeah,
out.
there you go. So people worry about that. Well, what about the power outages? Well, what about, all that rain? And I was trying to tell them that, normally we might get 30 minutes or an hour of rain. A couple of days ago, we got like 6 hours that it rained. But you just learn to rearrange your schedule. You get your errands done in the morning and try to get back home by 2 or 3 before the rain starts. So you don't let it bother you, and then you just sit back and enjoy it and watch your flowers grow, watch the trees grow, and the bougainvillea get bigger and more flowers on it. So you just take advantage of it.
I motorcycles, and the weather's always a concern. But I still get out in the rainy season. Skin's waterproof, so you see the Panamanians ride all year long in the rain. The delivery guys are always out there, so
Yeah.
It's that much. You do learn to
Yeah, and a lot of people, they don't have a car. They use public transportation. You just always keep an umbrella with you, and if it rains, you pop that umbrella open, and you're just fine.
A big umbrella, though. A big. You
A
don't want
big-
the little one. You want the big
No,
umbrella.
it's got to be a big umbrella, especially with the rain like we just got through having. But, we just had rain for about 30 minutes, and yes, we heard thunder and lightning and all of those things, but we lost you for a couple of minutes, but you just go with the flow. You learn to go with the flow.
Yep.
Another question that people had for you is if you're Canadian, and did you use something to keep your Canadian phone number, or did you just switch to a Panama phone number?
No, we have our North American phone number. We did the Magic Jack application as well, so in order to get a Panamanian phone number. Pardon me, no, we did the Magic Jack number, and then we also got a Panamanian phone number. And we would actually recommend a Panamanian phone number.
It seems to be everybody does WhatsApp, and everybody wants a phone number to contact you, your driver's license, everything. So we not only got our North American phone number still, we did purchase a SIM card for an older phone.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a Panamanian cell phone number, and we also have a home Panamanian number.
Yeah. But we haven't disassociated ourselves from our North American numbers yet, just because there's so much that needs the 2-factor authentication, that's set up on your bank accounts and all that. So we got the VPN so that it thinks that we're in North America. And then we kept that phone number as well to use as the 2-factor authentication.
And you use Magic Jack for that?
We use Magic Jack for his mom to call.
Yeah, you get, I think it's
Because she just won't use WhatsApp, right?
Well, my mother is not computer savvy. She's 83, 84. So she
Yeah.
does have a flip phone. That's about as far as we got with her. But my brother has tried to get her to use a smartphone, but she doesn't enjoy it or want it. So
Yeah.
she would still rely on the old pick up the handset,
Yeah.
make a phone call.
Yeah. So that's where the Magic Jack comes in really handy is for her. Yeah.
Okay. Someone asked, what are your average monthly expenses, if you don't mind sharing that?
Sure.
I'd say.
Well, including rent and food, and we
Yeah.
do have health insurance. We decided to go that route at first, not to self-insure, whatever they call it, with the hospital. Food and whatnot expenses. We do have a couple of vehicles. We have a motorcycle, a scooter, and a car, so we have insurance on those.
And then we have a storage unit that
Yeah.
we, as well, that we pay $178 a month for. It's a 20-foot container, but only until we get our possession of the house that we actually just bought.
Yeah.
So then we get to shed that. But in total, we're probably 2,300 US.
Yeah, 23 to 2,500 US a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's quite doable.
to live an equivalent lifestyle in Canada, what would that cost? Twice as much?
Oh God.
So a one-bedroom apartment, and I might be just skew here a bit, but it's well over $2,000 Canadian for a one-bedroom apartment.
Just for the
Food is
apartment.
ridiculous. Yeah, the food is very expensive. He said, when I visited my son in Calgary, he bought one bag of groceries, and it was $130.
Yeah.
Yeah, people have shown me that. It's insane. I don't know how people afford to stay here. Yeah.
Well, laundry detergent was $40 for one container. So
what?
I was the proverbial old man walking to the store. I'm not paying for that. That's
$10 for peanut butter. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was.
So,
it was. I've been back to Canada a couple times. It was Karen's first time in 7 years, and a lot hasn't changed, but a lot has changed with the prices.
It was crazy.
With prices. So someone asked about, what about transferring your money to Panama, like your military retirement? Do you move it first to your U.S. bank account and then move it from the U.S. to here?
Yeah. Typically that's what we do, just because it allows us to manage the exchange rate better. So, we have that surplus in the U.S. account that we draw from, and then the Canadian tops it up as the exchange rate allows.
Right. But you did open a Panama bank account, right?
Yes. Yeah. And that's what we do is we wire it into the Panama bank account. The exchange rate or the fees on the ATMs here is $6.50 or something per transaction.
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah. So it's better to just do, big chunks of money at a time that you then draw down on over a few months. At least that's been our finding.
Yeah.
The other thing too, though, that we had to navigate with Canada was, as I mentioned earlier, I think that we have a financial planner with RBC Dominion Wealth, and he actually had to go to bat for us in order to continue to be able to help us and represent us now that we're in Canada. So I guess, and this is a Panama thing, Panama puts themselves on and off of lists for countries that they're willing to be open with in terms of money transfers and that kind of thing. And so he had to go and get special permission because Panama took themselves off of Canada's list. And like I said, they go on and off of it. And so I'd been with RBC for years, but that wasn't enough to justify or keep us on. It was compassion because Mike's a wounded vet.
Yeah,
that was the reasoning for that. So
the Veterans Affairs thing has come in handy with us so many times.
It has.
Like Karen said, she's been 20 years with this organization,
more than,
and I'm just new with them within the last 7 years. And just because of our Veterans Affairs Association, they said, "Oh yeah, we can do it on a compassionate reason." So we're very fortunate on that one also.
So if you have a financial planner, you might want to check and see that they can still manage your accounts for you and that kind of thing here.
Yeah, then, you could not tell them and use a VPN and all those kind of things, but eventually it's going to come out. So it's just better. It's just better to be upfront and honest instead